Hey guys, welcome back to Prepping in Progress. I'm Steve.
And I'm Kim.
You know, preppers always talk about beans, band-aids, and bullets, the top three for any prepper forum or video. And today, yes, we're going to talk about
Beans.
glorious fruit. Okay, guys, so real world examples. Right now, I know everyone is tired of hearing this exact same thing, but Venezuela, what's going on down there is a real life SHTF scenario. Factor out the actual economy, factor out the government. What you have is a lack of two things: beans and band aids. Medical care is not available, and food. People are starving. So today we're going to talk about the food.
And how important it is to you as a prepper to, it's not always going to be glamorous and going out and shooting them up and going out to the gun range and buying a new gun. All those things are great and they're super fun. But I want y'all to really take the time to grow your stockpile and diversify your stockpile into carrying many different foods that you can store for long periods of time.
Guns are sexy.
Yeah.
Having a full stomach is sexier.
Yeah. Not starving to death is a great way to survive an SHDF situation.
Really?
Yeah.
We promise.
You can't go wrong with having a good stockpile. And we wanted to talk to you today about a few different things that we are going to be bagging up and mylaring today. All this stuff that we've got's already been through the freezer, so like we've talked about in other videos, we spent a couple of days in the freezer to kill anything that may be left over from the farming process or from the factories, to make sure there's nothing in there, so we'll kill any kind of microbes or anything like that into the beans. But we're going to show a few of the things that we are going to mylar, put into our long-term storage. But also show you something that I don't hear a lot of preppers talking about. And it is a protein alternative to possibly try out and to see if you wanted to add it to your long-term storage plan.
Sounds good. Let's get to work.
All right, guys, the basics I'm sure you've seen a million times is mylaring for long-term storage. And most people do your basic, either pinto beans, or you also got red beans, and we do this on a regular basis to improve our stockpile. And we're just doing what we've done in many other videos. You start out with writing what you're going to be storing, and make sure you put the date on it so you know how long it's been stored. But I want to talk about making sure that you diversify what you're actually storing. Like I said, most people go after your basic kinds of beans, but we also want to make sure we've got dried peas that are really great, and we're going to be putting those in this one here. And so we can do that while we talk, because this is kind of the unglamorous side of prepping. Like I said, it's something that we do on a regular basis, and we encourage, it gets to stack the beans, we encourage everybody to do the same and make it a regular part. You're spilling the beans.
With my Magnum by Boker from AdventureFrontier.com. I love you, NWA. I had to do it.
But diversifying what kind of things that you are storing. And these little 1 gallon ones really do hold quite a bit, and they're a lot easier to manage. We bought recently the 5 gallon bags. They are ginormous. Don't get me wrong, they're great for storing. We got a 50-pound bag of pinto beans that we're actually started on putting in the 5 gallon buckets. But they're really big and they're really bulky, and if you don't have a place to really store them easily, which 5 gallon buckets, they do store pretty well, but we're going to be storing these little smaller bags and just a large storage tub with a locking lid. They're not food grade or anything like that, but they're easy to stack and put into a closet or something like that to put them away. But we're just going to keep filling these up with the black eyed peas. But I want to talk about some other things that we also get. Yeah.
Can I throw in a couple things?
Yeah.
If you're gonna do buckets, they're thick, they're wonderful. You can store them out of doors in your shed. But what we're doing with these is indoors, in the closet, out just outside of the pantry, forming, ready-made access. And if we have to leave, they will stack up in the trailer
Quite nicely.
quite nicely.
You can also get some shorter ones that aren't very big at all. They're only about yay tall. And they're a great thing to store, say, underneath the bed if you have a guest bedroom and you're worried about where to store your long-term food storage. Just get the shorter ones, fill them up with these little 1 gallon Mylar bags, and you can just lay them down in there and they'll store underneath the bed very easily. Finish doing the black eyed peas, then we'll move on to some other things that we do. My cat's thinking we got food for some reason. Which we do have food, but it's not his kind of food.
We recently put them on a diet, and every time something rattles in a bag, they come running.
Yeah, we'll finish this one off. But these are pretty basic ones that almost everybody does. And we'll set this one off to the side. And once we get them all ready, and I've told y'all before, make sure y'all write it before you go filling it up because it is kind of bulky and awkward once you have it filled to then try to write on it. But we're going to be filling them up in this, set them off to the side, and then once you get all your bags ready to go, then open up your oxygen absorbers. My cat just attacked the curtain now. Open up your oxygen absorbers and then put them all in at once. That way if you have any leftovers, we're going to have a mason jar ready to seal them back up in. But we're going to set this one over here in our little bucket. It's not a bucket, it's a bottle. Tub, yeah. Another one we also do is quite often is lentils. I don't know if I wasn't accustomed to lentils until recently, but I've really gotten into cooking them. They bulk up quite nicely and they're not expensive. We got quite a few of them for I think $1 a bag, so they're about $1 a pound, about almost any other bean. But they're really, really great food, and they mix it. We made a chili out of them, but you can use them as a really good filler, almost similar like you do with rice. Kind of like as rice with a filler, and kind of just, it bulks up quite nicely, and it's quite filling. You got a few hanging on, huh?
I paid good fiat currency for these. They are going in the bag.
But we'll get these filled up. But like I said, a few other things that we're going to be mylaring that I haven't done before is we actually got these green, you're fine, I'm good, I know what I was doing. We got green coffee beans that we're going to be setting a few of them off to the side to roast and to practice making our own coffee. Roasting and grinding and everything else, which if y'all want to see a video on that one, I don't know if y'all want to see us roasting our own coffee beans and seeing how that goes. We can do a video on that because I love anything to do with coffee. But already roasted beans or the grounds really don't store for long periods of time. But the green coffee beans are just that. They're beans. No, not much different than what we're doing right here. These are green lentils. These are green coffee beans. They store up a lot longer in this form than they do in roasted or already ground up. The ground up ones don't last hardly at all. I don't know about you, but I've tasted coffee that we've kind of let on the shelf for way too long, and it tastes bitter and gross. And even roasted beans, they last a bit longer, but they do somewhat still go, and even in the freezer, they still go pretty stale quite quickly. And there's not really a good way to, I'm gonna fill this one up nicely.
Also, keep in mind that having coffee afterwards, it's not just that the coffee is life, but your used coffee grounds will make great additions to your compost
Yeah,
and then going into your garden.
but definitely I would do green coffee beans, and we're gonna be putting those in Mylar as well. But the one that we don't hear people talking about often, and correct me if I'm wrong, I went online and tried to find information about it, and I had trouble really finding it on almost any prepper site. I maybe found one video of somebody talking about it. Ooh, that felt up. Look how big that is. Those 5 bags. Look how huge. That's awesome. Was a nice alternative to beans as a protein. Is actually doing something that is most people probably don't use on a regular basis, but you grew up eating this stuff, so we're used to having it in the house, and that is something's called TVP. You want to tell them a little bit about what is TVP, and y'all probably seen it out. I've seen it a few places, people selling it for long-term storage. Your wolf is howling, but I'll let Steve, because he grew up eating this stuff. It is a bit of an adjustment. I know I had a bit of an adjustment to get used to it, but as an alternative protein source, what is TVP?
TVP is textured vegetable protein. It's what it sounds like. It is vegetable protein that has been shaped, formed into a facsimile of what it's supposed to be. If it's going to be beef flavored, like with McKay's chicken seasoning or McKay's beef seasoning, it's going to be put into either chunks or grounds, depending on if it's supposed to be hamburger.
There's actually a really wide variety that we've picked up. We've got this one here is imitation beef bites, which is going to be similar to your ground hamburger meat, right?
Right.
And then we've got a sloppy Joe mix, beef strips here.
For those of you who have eaten pork in the past and then given it up for whatever reasons, health or religious, this is a magic ham-flavored chiplets.
Yep.
And it is non-pork. Even the flavoring is non-pork.
Yeah. It's completely vegetarian.
I grew up in a church that did not believe in eating meat as one of the fundamental values. And yeah, this stuff is a staple in those diets. There are companies, La Loma, I believe, used to be one of the company's names. I don't know if they ended or one of them closed, but another company bought out their recipes, and they're still continuing to produce. Those of you in bigger cities, check out your dietary section and see if you have Big Frank's, Little Links, Saucettes. These are canned hot dogs. They last
Forever.
Well, my grandmother laid some up when I was 16, and I ate them 3 years ago, and that would be when I was 38.
30.
30 something. Yeah, and they were fine.
But these are already dried out. They're kind of an unholy alliance between tofu and jerky, right?
Sort of, yes.
But they're already dried, so we're going to be putting these into our long-term storage, and we're going to be mylaring up. Now we're going to see how long they last, and they're dried.
I mean,
They're dehydrated.
it's dehydrated.
And so they should seal up quite nicely in your Mylar as well. But a lot of times in an SHT, it takes you back to your childhood, huh? A lot of times in an SHTF situation, finding meat could be a problem. Now, I wouldn't recommend this as a complete substitute if
No.
you're not used to it for meat.
And if you are transitioning, do it slowly. You will have a few stomach issues and bowel issues going from a meat diet to a vegetable or soy protein diet.
Just because it's a big adjustment for your system. So definitely maybe cook a meal or two with it, get used to how it's cooked up. It does need to be cooked up for a longer period of time because it is dehydrated and everything, right? More like in a crock pot type situation where it's You can cook it for a longer period of times.
Right. What we're looking at for this ham: textured vegetable protein, soy flour with red 3 dye. Okay, thanks for the dye. Soybean oil, water, corn, soy, wheat protein, some brown sugar, salt, yeast extract, smoke flavoring, artificial flavoring, thiamine hydrochloride dextrose, also known as a sugar, partially hydrogenated cottonseed oil, okay, and some spice extract. So,
Well, like I said, this isn't a perfect alternative to actual animal products, animal meat products. But say if you've got vegetarians in your in your group, or if you have people with maybe certain types of allergies or religious reasons for not having certain proteins, as a not really a substitute, but as a alternative or just a temporary replacement if meat is hard to find, or if you just need a nice protein boost, having something like this on hand and that will store for a long period of time, you're slacking. It's definitely something to look at as a possibility for preppers. And like I said, they come in a bunch of different companies make them. I'll let y'all kind of see what some of the companies are. We got this company here. This is another company here. This is, and they come in these smaller bags, but they've also come and buy them in big bulk bags as well.
you know, and I'm not trying to sell everyone on this idea of using this, but for those who do keep clean and unclean meats and refuse to touch, pork, or the vegetarian who refuses to touch any meat at all, there are options. These are options because it is harder for you to get your meat products. A prepper who is fine with eating unclean meat can raise his rabbits, can trap beaver and make beaver chili, and be just fine with, the moral and physical implications of eating those things. You want it?
That's Sloppy Joe. That's this one. This one's just little beef bites.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Just a different company.
They look different.
Yeah, different
double
company.
checking.
But like I said, there may be even come a time that meat is also just scarce. That game may be scarce.
Now, this option is a little more expensive because it is made. But if you grew up eating whatever you wanted to, and then for whatever reasons, dietary, religious, chose to change your diet, you have options.
Yeah. And that's all we wanted to talk about is just trying out different things, maybe branching out of a comfort zone and diversifying what you have in your long-term food storage, because you can do more than just corn, wheat, and beans in your long-term food storage. You
Ooh,
can.
that sloppy Joe mix smells good.
He's having nostalgia here. But it's just something to possibly consider if you want to implement it into your long-term food storage. You may absolutely hate it and never want to do it again. That's why I say try it first and see if you can cook it up and if you like it. Are you having issues?
I made the hole too small, and yeah.
He's just gonna put the rest of it in his mouth anyways.
Shh, thanks for the
Oh, it
offer.
actually does smell good.
Oh my.
That actually smells really, really good. And that's the Sloppy Joe mix from that same company. Well, like I said, it's just an alternative. It's just something to possibly try out if you're wanting to stockpile something other than beans as a protein source.
Here we go. This one just tore right open.
There you go.
Really?
You don't steal some more?
Oh.
Oh, goodness.
Just try
Okay, I'll
it.
try it on camera. I'll tell y'all. Because I've never had this before, this kind. So this will be something
It's
new.
an interesting flavor. It's almost a barbecue flavor.
Let it rehydrate a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very smoky. There it goes. This one's rehydrated a little bit better. It's not bad. Good because I'm hungry. I haven't eaten all day. But yeah, guys, if y'all want to look into it and see about doing these, like I said, they are dehydrated, so they will be able to Mylar up and have them ready for your long-term fruit storage. That is just two, and only did a small thing of them, but try it out. See if you like it. It's something we have been trying to implement into our own daily food as well. Like I said, because we do have vegetarian relatives. We also have people who don't eat pork products. And if we want to make something with that similar flavor, we have an alternative that's not going to go against their religious beliefs. But there are things beyond beans. And so that's what it boils down to. We wanted to show y'all. And like I said, I don't know if I hear a lot of people talking about TVP, and so you may hate it. Some people hate it, some people love it. It's going to be kind of mixed, but
it is a hard transition for someone who grew up as a meat eater. Our son won't touch it. You know, the powdered milk won't touch it. You get 3 weeks into an event, he'll love it.
It'll be his favorite food ever. That's really good. But we're going to finish bagging up our long-term food. We just wanted to touch base. You got it? You got to open it up. Here, let me show them just a little piece of that. Let me show. Yeah. It's super dried out. You can see it's kind of hard and crunchy. But because they are dehydrated, you'll have to like soak them in water, right?
Yes.
To make sure them can plug back up. And then you cook it up similar to...
Well, even adding it to your rice, you've got your water, you've got your rice, throw it in, make it with your rice, and the water rehydrates it as it's cooking.
Yeah.
The flavor goes into the food. Do it with millet,
Could you do it with
couscous.
the lentils as well?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So you,
Be sure to rinse your lentils and your other beans before you put them in.
of course,
but,
soak your beans and everything.
you know,
like
don't
would
forget
regular.
to soak. But you know, lentils. My mom used to soak them for a little bit, and then do a lentil stew. That was to die for. Whereas I turned it into a butter stew.
But like I said, just something to possibly think about adding to your long-term food.
Short term. Real short term.
But definitely try it first. And try it out. All right.
I keep putting my mouth to the preps, and no one's going to want to come over and eat our food. See, it's my secret plan.
Good.
It's the prepper version of I licked it, it's mine.
But all right, guys, we're gonna get to finishing up here for the day. But thanks for joining us. I hope this was at least somewhat informative. Thank you, Steve, for telling us a little bit about your terrible childhood growing up eating this.
It was a great childhood.
All right, thanks, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And leave us in the comments, have you tried TVP? Have you put it in part of your own preps? Or if you haven't, are you willing to at least try it out? All right.
And remember, on the last prep talk, we introduced the new member of the team. I'm calling him Lily Bruter right now, as in little brother. But I'm open to names, so drop them in the comments, and we will start, culling through. And I mean, I might just stick with Lily Bruter. He seems to be semi-responding.
It fits to him too. Little brother running around.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you down the road.